Hi, welcome to the Leadership During Crisis Online Summit series. Thank you for taking your time to watch these episodes. Please remember to subscribe at our YouTube channel. We will be releasing the episodes 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesday, Friday at 2 p.m.
So let me give you all the time you need to have this morning. Karen, Leong, it's your time.
Why is the ability to influence so important? Because that's when you can transform the way people think, feel, and inspire action.
She was named one of the 10 influential professional speakers in Singapore.
Why or what led to the crisis in your situation or organization?
I think the question needs to be reframed. What led to the many crises in my situation? It's quite interesting, if we look at the trajectory of my life, it's like the stock market, you have jagged ups and downs. But I would want to say that there are definitely 2 pivotal moments. Firstly was I'm an auditor and consultant by training. I was with KPMG, one of the big 4 accounting firms. And after having built up a decade of corporate experience, I had my first crisis, and you call it a quarter-life crisis. And that saw me do something completely different because I decided from crisis, I'm going to be creative. So I went to Amsterdam. And I decided to spend 1 year of sabbatical just helping women who were dealing with crisis because they were victims of trafficking. So I think kind of putting myself right smack into the crisis zone to understand what it's all about was just incredibly humbling, inspiring. So I saw a lot of strength in such vulnerable situations. And I think it sparked off this seed of being an entrepreneur in me. So that started my second phase of my life where I decided to start my first business, which was in fashion. I launched my own fashion label, and it was in running this fashion business for 2 years, not having any idea, no fashion training. But I converted a lack of experience into completely creative pursuit. However, I was also again humbled because I think I was too ambitious. So I overexpanded the business from B2B to creating a retail chain. And that was when I actually suffered my first financial devastation. Coming to a point where I had $0 in my bank account, right? I think that was really my rock bottom. But, as they say, sometimes your rock bottom becomes the foundation as which you build on.
Yes.
And I realized that even with zero money in the bank, you actually won't die. It's very hard to die, especially in a country like Singapore. Then I reinvented myself. I started a second business, but now it was in learning and development, representing international speakers. And that was great because I brought in top experts and I organized conferences, helping companies benefit from leadership, influence, and presentation skills training. Now it's 13 years, I think, that I'm running, Influence Solutions. And the interesting thing is that, we are in a period of crisis. But what has happened is that I have transformed basically what we have learned over the years. And now we help our clients to thrive in crisis. We had started doing this a decade ago. So crisis is actually not new. I mean, we like to call it a crisis. But in fact, people deal with change and disruption all the time.
In your situation, right, I think when you said that there was $0 bank account and you were a very successful career person, and all of a sudden your world crashed financially. So I think in today's world, especially in the crisis period, a lot of businesses will be suffering. A lot of people may be made redundant. What went through your mind to help you pick yourself up to move on?
That you captured the sentiment so perfectly, because literally it's really, really more a crisis in our heads first. Because when we feel that there is no other answer, what happened is that we literally just freeze. I think what really helped me was just getting out of my way because I was moping at home for such a long time. And I can still remember my mom actually saying, hey, it's about time you just stepped out of a house and get something going. Sometimes we think that, when we are in a deep hole, we need a very big action to kind of pull ourselves up. For me, what really helped was literally just deciding that I am just going to get fitter. Every time I was, exercising, I had these quiet moments. It gave me a time to kind of relook at my situation. And that's when it hit me that if you look at this, every situation, there is a problem and an opportunity. And I've been so focused on seeing the problem that I became part of the problem. I only realized that, the best businesses are businesses that are solving big, big problems. So if we are facing a problem, if you flip it around, and then you realize that if you come up with a solution for your very own problem, what happens is that you will have the magic potion that many other people want as well. You will have what it takes to be able to help and make a difference to so many. So I flipped it around, and I remember that this is a crisis of self-esteem. This is a crisis of imagination. What I need to do now is that what am I going to do to, dig myself out of the hole? And that started getting me really interested in learning and development. And that's why, for me, I started to be fascinated about how we could influence and transform, because I speak a lot about transformation. And the seeds of that was actually from my own transformation. And so that's why it got me writing a book on influence, coming up with influencing style profiling tools. And now in my organization, all our programs, our profiling tools, our 360 leadership styles, assessment tools, they're all actually created in-house. And it's based on our own personal experiences, but more importantly, it's working with thousands of courageous leaders and teams all across the world that we've kind of converted their stories and made it into something tangible that can help many other companies. I talked about, listening to the research by the Danish psychologist Erickson. He talks about performance. And his work led to the 10,000 hour rule. I mean, you may have heard of it. That was featured in Malcolm Gladwell's phenomenal bestseller Outliers. We all know that if you want to gain mastery, then you need 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. But here's the catch that is missing in Malcolm Gladwell's book. See, many people think that I just need to be more specialized. I need to deliberately practice in my area of expertise. But the thing is, specialization actually can lead to a plateau. Sometimes the more we do certain things, we fall into the tendency to go into autopilot. And so, what happens, the more experienced you are, the more you're not actually leveraging your creativity or your other resources, because it's the same old. Performance actually peaks, and you're more vulnerable to very dramatic crises like this one. That actually requires agility. And so what I got out of this whole, research and also my own thoughts is that people who are doing the same thing or in very established industries, you need to start getting out of the safe zone. And the best way of getting out of the safe zone is start by pushing boundaries and experimenting. So literally doing something different. And this COVID-19 situation is a global experiment in working differently. I think if businesses can start seeing it like this is not something which is a short-term disruption, but it is a new normal, then businesses can start looking at this seriously and saying, all right, how are we going to truly invent ourselves for the new future?